situation. These things happen during training camp. I'm excited to get him healthy and get him back on the field for us.
Coach, talk about the first practices so far. It seems like starting to feel a lot like football again.
It's close to feeling like football. We can't quite go full speed yet as much as you want to. You can just do some walkthroughs. Those guys can throw on their own right now. So there's a lot of things we're getting in that right direction, but it'll be exciting on Sunday when we can start to put on the pads and actually get into what our normal training camp has felt like in the past.
Coach, back to Trey Wayne's for a second. Is it too early to tell the significance of that injury?
Yeah, too early to tell.
Zach, can you just describe what happened? I mean, did he get injured at practice, like yesterday at practice? Like what are some details behind what occurred?
I don't really want to get into too many details right now. It's unfortunate. He was working hard for us, and again, these things happen, and nobody's fault. We just move on and get him healthy and get him back on the field.
Zach, are you making the progress you hoped with the install? I know you said this 2-week period was kind of the install period before you get to the pads. Have you made the progress you wanted?
We have. We've been able to do a lot in these walkthrough periods, and it's really been good for us because when you don't have the OTAs and you've just been talking through installing on Zoom since April, it is good to be able to do this at a slower pace for 2 weeks, really for these rookies for a little bit longer now. So they're going to have a really good grasp of things when we're counting on them to do it full speed against some competition in practice. They're going to be ready for it, and so we get a chance to iron out a lot of the mistakes that we're kind of working through right now. So it's been a really good process for us, and we've been able to get a lot in.
I guess this is the time where you separate or you find out which guys, the learning processes that each guy has. Some guys might pick it up in Zoom and be great with it. Other guys, I got to see it on the field. So you sort through those kind of things.
It is. You get a chance to hit both types of learners in the meeting and on the field. And at the same time, since we're not going very fast on the field, you can slow things down and repeat the plays and talk through it. And now is the time to do that. Once we get to training camp, we're counting on these guys to go and make the corrections in the film room. But right now we're at more of a teach tempo, which has been really beneficial for our second-year players in these systems and for our free agents and our rookies that are new to the organization.
Overall, has the retention process from the Zoom meetings to the field been pretty satisfactory?
It's been good. There's a lot of competition in a lot of positions, and that really drives home the reasoning for guys to be in their playbooks and be on top of things because we do have some really good competition out there on the field, a lot of spots guys are competing for. And even the guys who are really good players for us, they've even taken it up a notch and raised the standard, and that's been encouraging to see.
When do you expect something official to occur on Mike Daniels? Do you feel like that'll be the transaction will be complete by the end of the day?
I don't know that it'll be today, but it'll be shortly.
What does he provide to the team, and kind of what made y'all want to bring him in and to potentially be that 80th guy at the moment?
We'll wait till we sign him, and then I'll get into more of your questions. But I'll be happy to answer that stuff once we get guys under contract.
Zach, how tough was the last couple of months with a guy like Trey Wayne's and these guys that were free agents couldn't take the physical because they couldn't come in? Did you have conversations with him during that period about how to handle that, and how did you guys approach handling that with guys in that sort of uncertain limbo?
Yeah, we had great conversations, just getting to know our guys over the March through July period. And I know he's excited to get on the field and be with his new team and not necessarily prove himself, but just show why he's here and why we're counting on him. And so you feel bad anytime anything like this happens to any player this early in training camp. But again, he'll rebound, and when he comes back, we'll be counting on him. In the meantime, we got great competition there at that corner spot, and so that'll be fun to see how it plays out in training camp.
You a lot was made of the top end of the corner room that you guys signed, but behind it, you guys added. It's all new guys back there. It seems like. Do you feel better prepared this year to handle something like this than you would have been certainly last year?
I do, just because we've got a better overall sense of our defense and who we got on that side of the ball. And now you're right, we've added some players there at the corner position that'll be able to compete. It'll be fun to watch them play. But again, those guys are all hungry for an opportunity. And so we'll see what we got there at that spot here starting next week when we get to go live.
Who do you see kind of in line as kind of pushing for that spot? Is it Darius? Is it Alexander? How do how do you kind of view that right now?
Yeah, I think there's several guys in the mix there, and those guys are all excited for the opportunity. Obviously, Darius did some great things for us at the end of the season last year. And you got guys like LaShawn Sims, and there's really a whole bunch of guys. I can name them all right now because that room, again, we got plenty of time to sort these things out. There's going to be plenty of reps to go around. Guys are going to get a chance to take hold of that spot one way or another. It's not 3 days before the first game where you need to get a guy in there and just make a decision. We got plenty of time to let these guys go compete, and that'll be fun for us.
Safe to assume, McKenzie, you prefer just to keep him in the slot rather than move him outside?
He could do both. He's a heck of a nickel, and really solid tackler, really confident, got great pattern recognition, good energy out there in the field. So he's a guy that we're really counting on the defense this year.
You've had experience in Canada. I mean, Rose has, 14 picks is 14 picks, I guess, no matter in what country you do it in. Rose has to kind of at least catch your eye with that stat.
I'm not the expert on Canadian football. I can tell you that much. I was the fourth-string quarterback. My first day on the job, I signed in the middle of the season, and we had a game that day, so they put me in the press box, and they told me to chart coverages. And so the first play started, and I hadn't even picked up my pen yet because I did not realize that you could decline the kickoff and just start with the ball. I thought we were getting like an extra practice snap in. So, and then next thing, they had 12 guys out there, and I don't exactly know what coverages involve 12 guys. So, needless to say, I was a waste of a body up there in the press box. So, I'm not the best guy to ask. I'm sure that 14 picks is 14 picks no matter what league you play in, and that's exciting. And when we worked him out, he had great twitch, great explosiveness, had a good knack for the ball and really good hands. And so now we get a chance to see him really full speed playing the NFL this training camp.
The rubber doesn't meet the road for the offensive line till you can put pads on, really, Coach. Everybody understands that. But just from what you see, taking Zoom meeting stuff to the field, and do you feel these guys starting to gel a little bit?
I do. You can feel their confidence in what we're asking them to do. Whereas last year you're just getting reps for the first time and you're trying to rep them against a bunch of different defenses, and there's a bunch of moving parts. We were interchanging guys all over the place, and now, there's still competition up there. There's no question about it, but these guys have a ton of confidence. Just having a chance to review what they did last year over the course of the spring, and so far in training camp, we've had a lot of meetings where they get a chance to watch that stuff and the walkthrough tapes. So really excited about the cohesion that group is showing right now.
Players are allowed to wear helmets tomorrow. Does your practice approach change? Are you going to put a little bit more on the guys?
Ours starts on Thursday. I had to check my watch there to make sure what day it is. Ours starts Thursday, but we'll have to go on air when we actually have the helmets on. So you get a chance to walk through right now against the other side of the ball. But then when we put the helmets on, it'll be full speed. But we get a chance to coach the routes, talking offensively. Get a chance to coach full speed routes for the first time. So that'll be good for us to do for 2 days, and then we give the players a day off, and then we come back on Sunday and put the pads on, and training camp will really start. So it's a good progression for us. We'll utilize it the right way. We're going to make sure our players are fresh on Sunday to give us all they got when we do step on the pads and start competing.
You mentioned being in the booth and charting plays and getting a view of the game from up there when you're in the CFL. What do the guys like Sam Francis and these analytical guys that are up there in the booth that are helping you guys out with game management, what do they bring to the process that you guys like to do?
Sam's got a lot of knowledge in that head of his, and he's got a big book of information that he knows how to process a lot better than I do. And so I don't hear his voice on game day. I hear it through one of the coaches, but I know there's a lot of dialogue there. Sam does a really, really good job for us over the course of the entirety of the year. But specifically game week, he gets the information to the right people, the coordinators, pitcher, and Troy Walters this year. And then he meets with us as a staff, at the end of the week as we get prepared for the game. And then on game day plays a good role. So I'm really happy with the job that Sam does, and we're glad to have him.
What did you think of? Go ahead, man.
We talked to Jonah, maybe it was yesterday. Time flies when you're in training camp here. But, what have you seen out of him in his return back and being able to be fully integrated? And how important is he as a piece for what you guys want to do for years to come?
He's got high standards for himself. That part is crystal clear. He's locked in on his assignments and how he wants to do it from a technique standpoint. That's really where you notice the true professionals in these walkthrough settings when you're not full speed. it's easy to go through the motions. Jonah's not that guy. Jonah does it the right way every single time, and he's a great example for the other players to watch when they see the tape, and I know that they notice that. And, he is – we drafted him to play left tackle and be here for a long time, and we're counting on him. And so far, everything I've seen from an intangible standpoint and the limited reps we've seen in the walkthroughs, he's gonna be a great player for us.
Zach, what did you think of Drew Sample? We talked a lot at the end of last year about how you guys felt like he was starting to come around when he got hurt. It seems like he was fairly dedicated this offseason. Did you notice him coming back and having changed some things in his game and the way he looks physically? Yeah,
I think his first snap last year was against Jadeveon Clowney, really in a one-on-one situation. We weren't totally clear on where Jadeveon was going to line up since he just joined the team about 2 days before the game started. And so Drew's first snap is a very difficult matchup, and that was his welcome to the NFL moment, I'm sure. He had a similar. He had 2 snaps that game, and then his first snap against San Francisco was very similar as well against a top 5 pick. And so what this offseason has allowed Drew to do is go back, and he felt the physicalness of last season, what it really feels like to go against some of these guys. You're going to be tasked with blocking as a tight end, and able to take that into what he works on all offseason. He's ready to go in training camp. There's a reason we took Drew Sample is because we know what's ingrained in him. And again, just like Jonah, the standards he holds himself to. And so we're expecting really good things from Drew. And I'm excited to see how he came back in shape, ready to go, his mindset. He's going to play a big role for us.
How do you make up for what you lose in Eifert there? I mean, his skill set was obviously unique as a pass catcher, but how do you find ways to make CJ and Drew fit into some of the things that maybe you were doing with Tyler? Or do you have to look at it differently than that?
Yeah, we've got some things on the table that we feel really good about, that we'll get a chance to look at this training camp and be ready for the season as it goes around, and make sure that in those situations we've got guys that we can count on. And we've got a lot of depth at these skill positions right now as pass catchers, in the tight end room, the running backs, the receivers. We feel really good about where we're at there. So we'll have a good plan in place by the time week 1 rolls around.
Have any of the young linebackers flash, Coach? Any of those guys caught your eye?
Oh, they flash. It's a really, really good group. They're still green right now. They got a lot to process, and the experience is they're going to have to gain it very quickly during this training camp. But certainly happy that we have all those guys in the room, because it's a competitive group. It means a lot to them. They're taking in everything Al Golden has to say to them, and Lou and Jordan Kovacs. And so it's been really fun to watch. And on special teams as well, they're doing a good job for Darren and Colt. They're really buying in. So it's going to be a very competitive room this training camp.
Zach, we talked to you last week about just how.
I'm sorry, Joe. Can you start over? I missed that.
Sure. My apologies. We talked a lot last time we talked to you about how much personal responsibility it takes from coaches, players, everybody to make this season happen. You've had a good sample size now of having these guys in the building. How good do you still feel about what everyone's doing to make this season happen?
Every day is really a new day in how we got to approach it, because we can't get relaxed with it. I've been really proud of the team and the staff members in the building, the way that they've handled this. They're doing a good job with their social distancing. They're doing a good job wearing their mask. They're getting tested in a timely manner. Nobody's been an issue there. So I think that there's really good protocols in place that the NFL has set forth. And again, the people that I complimented on the first Zoom here in the building have really done an excellent job in keeping us safe and making sure we stay on top of everybody, and nobody gets relaxed. And so far, so good. But we do know that we have a really long way to go. And our players understand that. We make sure and reiterate it to them every single day. But proud of the work that the guys in this building have done.
When you have a rookie quarterback, how paramount is it to have strong play out of your tackles, maybe more so than other years when you have veteran quarterbacks?
Sure. It's again, he's a guy who's going to need to gain the experiences too. So the more you can keep him upright and give him that extra second to make some of those decisions, the better for any young rookie quarterback. So those guys understand that, the whole line as a whole, again, we feel like we're much further ahead than we were this time last year up front. Just the understanding of our schemes and having worked together and that chemistry that these guys have. And again, Jim Turner and Ben Martin have done a great job getting them back up to speed and making sure that we hit the ground running when we put these pads on Sunday.
Just getting back to what Paul talked about, Sample, in order to get him on the field with CJ, do you think you might go more double tight ends? Is that something you've thought about? It's something you haven't done much of in the past. Is it something that's get you thinking to get Drew on the field?
yeah, we're open to any personnel groupings that are going to help us score points and win games. And so we're not going to take anything off the table. Obviously, we do feel like we've got some talent on offense and we can utilize it a lot of different ways, whether that be a ton of 11 personnel, a ton of 12 personnel, 22, whatever it is. We feel like, we've got the horses and the depth to be flexible in a lot of ways and keep defenses off balance. And so that's something that excites us to be able to just get some reps on during this training camp.
Guys, we're at the 15-minute mark. Please, just a couple more. Thank you.
Coach, you're one of the best running teams in the league the second half of the season. And there's, obviously one season. Doing it last year doesn't necessarily mean you just pick right up and start with it again this year. There's a lot of work that goes into that. But do you feel confident that you can do that? You can come close or maybe even do what you were doing or exceed what you were doing at the end of last year?
We feel confident in the things that we're going to ask our guys to do and build on the momentum we had at the end of that season. Again, we can really hone into the details, that at times were lacking over the course of last year and really set our identity early in training camp, because it certainly evolved over the course of last season. And so this year you get a chance to really watch what we did well, what schemes were floating throughout the league that maybe will benefit the way that we're built as well, and get a chance to work on that for the next month. So we feel really good about the direction we're headed there.
Staying on the running game, is there a thought to have Joe Mixon and Gio on the field together more this season? Are you guys practicing that and working on it?
Again, it's one of those true sample questions. Everything's on the table for us, and you just look at what is that going to do to the defense? How do they react to that? And if that gives us an advantage, certainly we want to utilize them, because it's two playmakers that when they got the ball in their hand, really good things happen. And so we feel really good about the work that those two have put in. And if they happen to be on the field at the same time, then good things probably happen for us.
Coach, we talked to Joni yesterday, and he was asked about the criticism the O-line took and how much those guys are motivated by that. And he said, not so much that as we were 2-14 last year. That's the big motivator. How much do you see that with your returning players as being a driving force?
Yeah, there's a bit of a chip on our shoulder. We've got a lot to prove, and last season wasn't good enough, and we probably deserved the criticisms we got in a lot of areas. And so, but again, 2020 is a new year. It's been a weird year, but it's a new year. And so we get a chance to right a lot of things that we didn't feel great about last year walking off the field in that last game. And so I think that's just what excites everybody, is a chance to go out there, set a new standard, put last year behind us, and just get ready for game one and do a great job, be detailed, have high standards for ourselves.
Zach, we can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you all.